The algorithms, especially machine learning, were programmed by men, especially Western white men. So what happened is that there was a couple of systems of databases for recognition and biometrics that were hacked, and as well some of them that start discriminate people because of the color of the skin. This is not, I'm not joking, this is happening. And for instance, as well, discriminating women. So this is actually a very, very important thing that is happening as we speak. Actually, this is so important that Microsoft, recently, the CEO of Microsoft came public saying that we need to do something about this because we need to have a code of conduct to programming machines and programming algorithms. So this is the most important thing that comes out of the blockchain technology and all this technology we're talking about. But of course, the good thing is that this creates, if you are smart, you can create millions of new jobs. Because this will have to be, like the internet created, most of the jobs in the world right now are using technology. Everyone. You're doing your dissertations with Google, with research online. This is jobs that were created that didn't exist 10, 20 years ago. So the automation that is going to come out of the industry 4.0, that is going to be very, very disruptive. We're talking about 500 million jobs that will disappear. It's not a small number. And this is actually data from the United Nations and the World Bank. 500 million, okay? And we're talking about this is happening in the next 5 years. So, of course, there will be hundreds of millions of jobs being created right now if we know how to use these technologies. And the countries that are using these technologies properly will be the new superpowers. And I hope they will use it for the good, because we have a lot of experience in mankind of not so good uses of technology. So this is very important things that I want to highlight. And for instance, this part of creating of new jobs is fundamental for universities. So you have a fundamental opportunity that has been happening. Not only it happens by cycles. The internet creates millions of new jobs. So this is creating a lot of millions of new jobs, but of course these jobs are very qualified jobs and jobs that require reskilling. We have to be continuously learning. So that's a very important thing for us. One of the new revenue streams for universities is not just the graduate courses, it's continuous education. So everyone in this room will have to be continuously educating themselves. I'm one of them. That's why I love universities, I'm always studying. So you have to be always studying and getting your skills up. So I think this is one thing that I want to touch. It's very sensitive, but it's fundamental here. And now I'm going a bit science fiction, but it's not science fiction, it's reality. Is that we are in a stage that in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to get singularity. You heard about singularity? Now I'm going a bit more academic, but I think it's important that you are all on this stage. So singularity is a scientific term that mentions the relationship where machines and humans reach the same level of emotional knowledge or intelligence. So at the moment we are already matching singularity. So that means machines, some machines, not all, are being able to think, are being able to start taking decisions. So this is where we need to be very conscious of the implications of this. This is happening now, okay, not in 5, 10 years. Most of Google has already machines. For instance, there was a case of some of the machines in Google start conflicting with each other. They actually start fighting algorithms. And there was a couple of algorithms as well, for instance, that create some misuse, that they start going rogue in the sense of going off script. So, and as well, there's a lot of experiments on this area. So this is very important for universities to come up with rules for governments. Because if you don't take ownership on this, someone will. And probably will be a billionaire with some crazy ideas. So it's very important that we are conscious about this now, and we act on this. Of course, this has fantastic implications as well. If the machines can help us, we can extend life. We can do fantastic things. But this machine is helping, not us. And very important from an evolutionary perspective, if you look at the history of mankind, mankind mostly evolved in the last 20,000 years. But the point is that these 20,000 years right now are going to be loops in terms of 5, 10 years. Because if you put a chip in your body and you start really creating an artificial intelligence capacity or algorithm to change your blood circulation and adapt things and regenerate with cell therapies, you can go to 200, 300 years. And Google is putting billions of dollars on this kind of research. So it's not just some kind of crazy guys in the James Bond film. It's actually happening as we speak. For instance, Mark Zuckerberg put almost his entire fortune in a foundation focused on extension of life and killing diseases. Of course, this comes up with a lot of ethical things that we need to consider, because of course, if you create one problem, or if you create one solution, normally create the problem as well. So we need to see how this is going to interact. Okay, so I will push, because I have a lot of slides here. I want just to focus on this one, mostly on the blockchain confluence. So, when you talk about blockchain technology, and so the first thing is the blurred lines between physical and digital. Because the point right now is, if you have the data, for instance, if Dr. Reyes has the entire data about the country, and the government of Malaysia has this data, they're going to be able to distribute money more fairly. They're going to invest in the areas that are creating more jobs. And these blurred lines between physical and digital are critical. Because if you don't have data, you are doing decisions wrong. For instance, one of the things I'm doing on my own management of my time, for instance, I spend 5 hours per day with my phone. And this is data. I cannot lie to myself. And this is my phone, probably my computer, I put another couple of hours. So I pass more time in front of my device sometimes than I pass with my children, unfortunately. So these lines are actually happening as we speak, everyone here. So how much of this time are you using good? How much of this time are you using bad? That's the first thing, is that this data can be used to optimize our own performance. For instance, can I push this data? For instance, if I look at the 5 hours, how much time am I using for social media? How much time I'm spending in stupidities online? Can I use this to, instead of spending in social media, just going and using a podcast and learn about something? I'm traveling in a bus, I'm spending 1 hour, I just put something, I'm learning a course about artificial intelligence, about blockchain. All of this is available for free. It's very important that you consider that. So, task automation, I mentioned these 500 million jobs that are disappearing, but they will be created. There's a lot of new jobs coming, okay? I don't want to panic anyone. I'm not optimistic, but I'm realistic, okay? But of course, these new jobs will be created by the ones that have the skills. And education is key. That's why we are in the university. Provenance supply chain, I mentioned. This is critical because we want to make sure that our products are done with good quality, that people are not using it with wrong products that can actually kill us. Then, of course, distributed database. I mentioned about this. This is critical for the data not to be centralized. Encrypted technology, that is the base of blockchain technology. That is very important for cybersecurity and everything else. Auditability, we want to make sure that everything can be audited, because this creates meritocratic systems. And the meritocratic systems are the ones that normally go ahead, if you are, of course, intelligent on that. Of course, all of this creates digital trust. If we have all of this together, first of all, this creates trust, but we can have a digital identification of trust. And that's what the best of blockchain technology is about this. And then, of course, peer-to-peer. A very important thing with blockchain technology, it's not just blockchain technology, anything digital is killing middlemen. So a lot of things that are still processed in society by a lot of layers are going to be direct. I can just send an email directly to a teacher in a university that I like. One university can go and do a course. For instance, you have a massive opportunity. Being Islamic finance experts, is that there's almost 2 billion people that are like you. This is a massive market. So if you create courses on this, you put it in websites, and you put millions and billions of people who can actually teach, you can actually get the best of your values out there. And this creates a lot of new jobs. This creates a lot of new opportunities. And as well, it creates trust. It creates a narrative of hope. Because the big problem with the world economy at the moment is that we have the best stage ever in history of mankind. This is data, okay, not me. That means, as humans, if we were in the beginning of the 20th century, I would be dying. Because normally the average lifetime would be 40s. And 40s would be, not everyone would reach 40s. Everyone right now will go until 70 to 90, And our children probably will go to 120 or 150. So that's a fantastic thing. That means we improve health, we improve education, we improve all things. But that means as well that our brains will have to readjust, because living 100 years or 120 years, that means we need to not to be bored. Otherwise we become very silly. So this trust has a lot of consequences as well in terms of society, in terms of values, in terms of education, in terms of workforce. And a lot of new opportunities. And when I say this part of the opportunities in terms of Islamic finance is massive, because you can use this for good. And a lot of values actually of the Islamic finance and blockchain are very similar from a technology standpoint. It's just the way you put it in practice, of course. Okay, so I don't know how much time I have. Probably I put already too much time. I don't know if I go probably 1 or 2 more slides and then we can actually open to questions, but I can't speak for hours. I love to do this, but I want to interact as much as possible as well. So this is right now what I was talking about, identity. And this touches everything as well. So if you see our identity as humans, we have personal, healthcare, emotional, psychological, insurance, everything related with our security. And then on the other side, we have more the corporate side. Financial, political, religious, government, and military. So this is, all of us have this relationship. All. This one might be because of our countries, that one on a personal level. So all of this process is being digitized. That means all of this right now is coming to digital platforms. So if you put this in blockchain, that means you can have smart contracts that protect our data, and you can use it correctly. But if you don't use this correctly, someone will hack this. And for instance, if you look at the Brexit, there's scientific studies, you should research about that. So how did the Brexit happen? And I'm not going to politics, I'm talking purely on data and science. So the Brexit happened because Cambridge Analytica got enough funding to do research about the country, about the UK. And with this research, there was mostly computer scientists and data scientists working on this, and then psychologists and behavioral experts, all academic with PhDs. So it's people like you. So what they did is that they look at the different data areas of the UK, and of course they had one goal. The story was, we want to disrupt the UK economy, we want to take the UK out of Europe, and like that, we take them out. And of course the hidden goal of the people behind the Brexit was take the economy of Brexit and create an ultra-liberal system. And of course, the way they did it, and I'm not going right now to the politics, but then there's other things. But from a technological perspective, what they did is that when they benchmarked this data, which was done in a couple of months, they benchmarked the data, and then they understood, okay, these people in these areas are more fragile, have more problems, financial problems, economical problems, job problems, and they are more susceptible to go to one direction or the other. So that's the first stage, data benchmarking. Then what they did was social or psychological warfare. I don't know if you heard about this, but this is a big thing, psychological warfare. And this is the biggest challenge we have nowadays in mankind. Because you can do this to destroy people. Because this always happened in history of mankind. There was always governments trying to disrupt and things like that. But now you can do it in real time. For instance, what there was the psychology warfare, that was mostly done by social media, was that if you understand that people are more fragile, what you do is you start feeding them with things that make them fear. You repeat news, you create fake news. And if you do that, of course, people get scared. And then if you repeat something a lot of times, what is going to happen is people will start believing on it. It's the narrative repetition. But this is done with science, with data, with artificial intelligence, machine learning. We don't even need a lot of machine learning. It's just very basic data repetition. This is very scary, as you can imagine. Because if you repeat to people, you should do something wrong, they will do it. If you repeat it a lot of times, it gets in your mind. And even if you don't do it completely, you get that. For instance, Facebook did a couple of studies that became very, very sensitive. And actually some of them were actually taken to the US Congress, that they did A/B testing with data. So for instance, 1 million users of Facebook got positive news. And another million got negative news. This was done in real time with humans, not with machines. Facebook got in a lot of fire. They had a lot of lawyers going against that, but they managed to get along. I think when this happens, Mark Zuckerberg gives $100 million for an hospital or something like that. I'm not joking, this is what happens. But this is psychological warfare, this is a big thing for all of us. And we have a responsibility not to let our children be manipulated. And I hope that you are the ones that can actually make this not happen, because I'm very scared, okay? Because what happened with Brexit and Trump, I thought it would not possible to be done. I know how to do it myself. But I have my ethics and my values, I would never do it. And trust me, I had governments asking me to do things, I said no. But the point is that they did it, okay? And this created the biggest division in the history of the UK. So purely, I'm not talking from a political perspective, I respect a lot of Brexiters or whatever, but the point is that now Scotland wants to get out, North Ireland wants to get out, Wales is in panic because they vote pro-Brexit and they have no money. Most of the money from Wales is coming from the European Union. This is the paradox, because they were manipulated psychologically. But I'm talking purely from a security. For instance, London was one of the most peaceful cities in the world, and after the Brexit, for instance, the Polish center in the center of London, where I live nearby, had racist things. And the Polish community has been in London for 50 years. So this is very important for us to understand the geopolitics of technology and why blockchain is so powerful. That's why the universities are working on this. That's why governments are investing on this. They know about this. Of course, the challenge that, and this is where people like me need to be careful, there's no solutions with technology. It's you, humans, us. And that's where our values and ethics need to be on the top. Okay, so I went a bit dramatic, but I want to be more positive in the sense that